We are live. So, Thursday, day 4 of interviewing all the amazing speakers that I'm very honoured to be part of my online summit, which starts Monday, the 11th of May. It's running for 5 days, 4 speakers per day, sharing a wealth of knowledge and their expertise in this interesting, challenging, possibly times under lockdown. How are you guys feeling? I know I dipped. I think I've come out of it because I'm not focusing on the news. Apart from when you see amazing things like today, Colonel Tom and his birthday. So isn't it nice to see something positive?
Yeah.
That's what we need more of. So I will just simply hand you over to Sarah. Tell everybody who you are, what you do.
So I'm Sarah Ross. I'm the founder of Your Reason to Breathe. And pre-coronavirus was very much into burnout recovery. People who were burnout, really getting that overwhelm at work, not wanting to be there, just feeling sort of bleh about life in general, and helping them get back to a place where, life was pretty good. Since coronavirus, we're looking at stress. It's part of burnout. It contributes to it. And now looking at ways to help people, get through lockdown without burning out, overstressed, overwhelmed, but also encouraging people to use this lockdown period to find out what it is that is really good in their lives and that they need to keep once they get outside. So for whatever it is that you found that you love doing during lockdown, don't stop when we're allowed outside again. That's it.
Brilliant advice, because yes, I agree. I think that this has been a time of reflection for many. Yeah. So just as you said, if people were suffering from burnout in a job that they weren't happy about, maybe it is time to actually think about, well, what is it that you actually want to do with your life?
Yeah.
So is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So, burnout, or even just that general not happy at work, because it just creates that, got to go to work again. Well, take some time when you're at home. If you're furloughed, you have the perfect opportunity. Think about what it really is that you want to do, what you want to be concentrating on, but also, what do you miss about going to work? Now, you probably don't miss the commutes or the traffic or finding a car parking space. But do you miss the social interactions? Do you miss coffee break? Do you miss the opportunity to, meet up with people for lunch or go for drinks afterwards? All those things tell you a lot about what's important to you values-wise, and making sure that life after lockdown actually reflects those too. So for me, I have bookshelves of books, Kindle full of stuff, and I hadn't been reading an awful lot. And now, this has given me the time to go, what, it is important to me. This is something I enjoy doing. And I want to make sure that I make time for that, even once I'm allowed back outside and I can jump in the car and go wherever I would want to. But really just saying, there's good and bad bits about life before Corona too. And there's good and bad bits about life during lockdown. And so we'll have the same afterwards, but it's really, we're in a really powerful place of choice. You get to choose how you feel.
I totally agree. This is, if there was ever a time, and isn't it funny that we could have, anybody would have had the power to make any changes at any time. However, when we're in a comfortable place through habitual ways, we don't make those changes until we've been forced into it. And that's what sort of, it's leveled the playing field, doesn't it? Everybody has been forced to stop, take a step back, have a little think about, just as you say, what is important, what they're passionate about. And one real common thread throughout doing these interviews with talking to the speakers is the realization that you guys are all following your purpose, doing what you're absolutely passionate about. So share with people, Sarah, how did you get to where you are now?
So the very quick version of the story, and if they come on to the summit, they will hear more of it, was I had the Instagram life. I was traveling the world, corporate job, always in business class, glass of champagne in my hand, traveling to all these amazing places, which, you know, let's be honest, I didn't really see a lot because I was working. But according to Instagram, you know, I was always jet setting around the world. My life looked pretty sweet. But I was putting my body under a lot of stress. You know, would travel for 24 hours to somewhere, get there, have a couple of hours sleep, do a conference call with the other side of the world before going into the office. You know, that's, you know, the amount of stress that I was under. I remember one day I was in a hotel in Ecuador, and one of the pilots was in the lift, and he said to me, "Didn't I fly you here on Monday?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was just coming back from the office. And he went, "Oh, right." He said, "When are you going back?" And I said, "Friday." And he went, "Oh, I'm flying you home then as well." And then he just looked at me and he said, "But you haven't been sat by the pool for the last 2 days, have you?" I was like, "No, I haven't. I've been in the office working, you know, 12-hour days, 14-hour days to make the most of this trip to the other side of the world." And the pilot, who, grant me, I'm very glad that he got me there safely and everything, he did his job, but he had that time to recover, de-stress, recharge in between those two flights. So one to take me there and one to take me back. And I got to that point, I just pushed my body too far. You know, things were happening in my life. My relationship broke down, my health deteriorated. Instead of stopping and saying, I just cannot manage a full-time job, I took on more work. You know, because it was the one thing I could control, because my boss would give me the deadline. It wasn't up to me. And it really got, you know, for me, it got to the point where I chose the day I wanted to die.
Now that's pretty low.
Yeah, you know, and I had been having the signs that I was low for probably 2.5, 3 years beforehand.
Wow.
So this isn't, you know,
Doesn't
stress.
happen overnight. Doesn't happen overnight.
You know, we can be stressed. Sure, you just burnt the toast and you haven't got any more bread. That's stress. But that chronic stress that lasted for 3 years just built up and built up. And so, you know, it's like, you know, weight loss, you know, like when you talk about it, you know, when you're in a diet and doing things, you don't often see the little changes. And then you'll see someone that you haven't seen for like 6 weeks and they're like, "Oh my God, you look amazing."
Yes.
Well, flip that around. That's exactly like chronic stress. You don't notice that every day it's just a little bit worse, or the migraine is more intense, or the stomach ache gets worse, you know, or I'm not, you know, I slept even less last night than the night before. But when you look at it then over 3 years or even over a couple of months, you've slept less than 3 hours a night. You know, you've had more time off work than you were in the office. You've popped more painkillers than you're actually supposed to. All of these things are just, your body is no longer resting, resetting, healing. It is basically just in stress the whole time.
And that's unsustainable, right?
It is.
Nobody can last like that forever.
You know, we have the same genetic makeup as cavemen. You know, the stress reaction that we have today is the same as our dear caveman friend had for running away from a saber-toothed tiger.
Right.
You know, and he did it, and he would run away and he'd run up a tree and he'd be safe. You know, and it's that body's reaction to, am I safe? How do I get safe? And that is stress. So he would have that reaction. He'd run away up the tree. Oh, I'm safe. Tiger's gone. That's maybe 5 minutes he would be stressed for.
Isn't that amazing that so for, I don't know, 3 million years,
we haven't evolved at all.
we're putting ourselves under longer periods of stress than is necessary, because we don't have a saber-toothed tiger chasing us, do we?
Exactly. So we still have stresses, we still have things where our body has that reaction. It creates cortisol, it's stressed, it wants to get you safe, but we are in environments or in lifestyles that mean that lasts for hours,
Too
for
long.
days, for weeks, and we never stop. And the interesting thing is, you know, between the body producing cortisol, the stress hormone, and producing all the happy hormones, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, they come from the same set of ingredients, shall we say.
Right. What is
So
that? In different mixtures, different.
yeah, so it's pulling all the bits that it needs to create these cakes, shall we say. You know, you've got a stress cake and you've got a happy cake.
Yeah.
They have exactly the same ingredients.
In different.
But if you make a stress cake, you can't make a happy cake at the same time.
Right.
So until the body stops producing the stress cake,
Right.
it can't produce anything else.
Brilliant analogy. Yeah.
And so, you know, it's literally, you know, we're in lockdown. Flour, eggs, all of these things are in short supply. Well, that's exactly what happens to your body when you're stressed. It takes what it needs to keep you safe before it allows you to heal and everything, and thrive. And so the more you can do to stop the body producing that, or just to break the cycle, means you can actually then survive, thrive, smile through stress rather than.
So do you feel at this point in time that for those who maybe were under constant stress due to their work environment when we were, do you remember that when we were back out?
I'm still in the same office in my house.
But for some, it's changed and it's inside. Do you feel, or have you noticed with your clients that people are under more stress, although it's different? How do you feel things are going with this lockdown, with how people are dealing with this?
So I believe people are more stressed under lockdown. I mean, overarching is we do not know what is happening with COVID-19, coronavirus. And so we are always waiting for that. What do we have to do next? Is it, you know, how bad is it? But people are, you know, a lot of people worked in jobs that for years were told you can't work from home. You know, it was deemed those jobs were not, you could not work from home and do this job. And now you're being told that you've got to work from home.
Isn't it interesting what's going to happen when we do get out? Because now we all know that we can.
You know, businesses have for years had plans in place, pandemic plans, business continuity plans. What happens if the office burns down? What happens if the office floods? And they have had for years, since swine flu, since bird flu and all of this, pandemic plans of what happens when something like this happens. And I think you'll see that a lot more jobs will be laptop based so that people do have the option to work from home. You know, people are being given a trial now, whether they want it or not, to see whether certain jobs can be done from home. You know, I have friends from where I used to work who are in finance and they never worked from home. And now suddenly the whole team is working from home. And it's a very different dynamic for them.
Do you think that was a trust issue?
I don't think it's a trust issue in not trusting people. I think it's a process issue in it was just easier because the queries would come up and you just go, oh, can I just ask you a question? We don't have that sort of setup anymore. You have to almost make a note of the questions and ask them at one point in the day, which does slow a process down. But then we're also not sat in meetings all day.
Ugh.
You know, so
there's hope, isn't there? Wouldn't you say
hope.
Everybody that I do think things are going to change for the better. There's so much fear going on through the media, through Facebook, YouTube. And you've only got to watch the conversations that people are genuinely fearful. But do you feel that, you know, they don't have, it's unnecessary because we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. And I think there's possibly just so many positive things that are going to come out from this.
Yeah. You know, a lot of things are going to change. for a lot of people. But there is that part that says, please only worry about the things that you can control.
Yeah.
You know, you can't change the government's mind. You
No.
can't stop the virus. You can't, you know, change the shopping delivery slots at the supermarket. So
Are there any? Where are they? I haven't
well,
seen. I haven't
I've heard that they exist.
Oh, do they?
Yes. I think you have to be online at like 3:37
Okay,
a.m.
I'll keep
No,
missing
I'm
that
only
one.
kidding, because, you know, all joking aside, there are people working very hard to make sure that things are as
Absolutely.
normal as possible. So all respect to anybody who is making sure that we can still go to the supermarket, or
Thank goodness for them.
that,
My
you know,
corner
that
shop, I thank him every day, because it's just like, well, thank you for just being open. It's just,
yeah. But it's, you know, the bigger things, it's like, you know what, I was looking at it earlier, and we'll talk about it on the summit. It's like a lot of people are getting exactly what they asked for this new year and new decade. They wanted more time with family.
yeah.
They wanted more time to cook. They wanted self-care, you know, and as roundabout as it seems, coronavirus has given you all of that.
Totally.
But
Interesting.
okay, we didn't want financial stress. We didn't want to be worried about our jobs, and we didn't want people dying. Okay,
Yeah.
none of us would have asked for that. But it's really a time to focus on what is good about this
Mm-hmm.
and what it's giving you. And like I said, don't stop doing that when you are allowed back out again.
Yeah.
So if you as a family have gone out for a walk every day, and that's your family time, there's no phones, you're just talking, you're enjoying going outside, you're taking pictures, then make sure that once this is over, that's part of it too. So, you know, we are being given a chance to reset, you know, which is one of the things I do with my clients, that chance to go back to what makes you happy, what actually puts a smile on your face, and making sure that that is much a part of your life as going to work, having a job, you know, all these things that, you know, at the moment, none of us have control over any of that.
Totally. And
But you can be planning for the future and what it looks like.
yeah. Well, everything is always in the unknown. It's just been made really obvious this time.
Yes. Yeah, because for those 2 hours that you were commuting to that office that you didn't really like sitting in, you were just concentrating on the road and not crashing your car. But now you've suddenly got 2 hours at home with people that you haven't normally spent 24/7 with.
Yeah.
So much as, you know, it's great to, you know, having this time together and family time and everything, it's also different stresses.
Yes.
You know, for all the parents out there, and I know you had Jackie on the other day, it takes at least 4 years to train to be a teacher, to be in
I
a
think people are
school.
going to appreciate how much appreciation
Yeah.
you think is going to go to the teachers,
Yeah.
because they now know.
Yeah. If
What a
you've tried to
job
teach
that
someone
is.
to read, oh my God. But it's those things. It's a, you know, it's like if you are like me and you're a bit of a perfectionist, lockdown can be really tough when you're having to do things that you don't normally do.
Right.
So if you are homeschooling or you're trying to get the kids to do the work and that's tough and you're really struggling with it, don't force it. You know, try and find other ways of teaching them how to add or write or on all these things. Don't just feel like, you know, don't go down that route of, if I'm not doing it how it would be done in the classroom, then I'm a failure.
Yes.
You know,
it has
and
that
also,
effect.
you know, also remember that you didn't spend 24/7 with your kids or your partner or your family before lockdown. You know, normal day, couple of hours in the morning, go to
Yeah.
work, couple of hours in the evening. It's like suddenly this 24/7, and you may not have the space for you all to be able to have a little bit of alone time.
Yeah.
But it's saying, you know, have you at least got one chance a day where you can just go and grab that cup of tea, or, you know, sit and read a book on your own, or grab some fresh air, where you can just stop and say, am I okay? and asking yourself, am I okay, before you ask somebody else, are you okay?
Brilliant advice. So what's going to be your talk for the summit? What's the title of your talk?
So we are talking priority happy, using your smile to beat stress.
Brilliant. And I think that you're actually launching it, aren't you?
I am.
You are number one. And I think that everybody is going to get a lot of value from that. It really doesn't have to be the stressful time that so many people are perceiving it to be.
Yeah.
And so you're going to learn lots of tools and tips on how to come out of that. We want you happy. That's the whole purpose of the summit.
The whole purpose of the summit. Yeah. So you look good, feel good, and that, you know, lockdown isn't some sort of prison and, you know, depressing place. It's like, you know, coming out the other side of lockdown.
Totally. Ready to
better
take
than
the
you went in.
world.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait. Thank you very much. If you would like to find out more about Sarah, there should be a link up there, which will take her to her speaker profile. And there you'll have lots of ways to connect with Sarah, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, all the social media platforms, even to email her if you have any questions. And if you haven't got a ticket, get a ticket. It's free to register. So just click on the link above and we will see you at the summit. Thank you for your time, Sarah.
Thanks for having me, Karen. See you on the summit.
Bye.